Most institutional portfolios aren't under-hedged because CIOs don't understand risk. They are under-hedged because hedging fails organizationally before it fails financially.
That's especially true today when risk doesn't show up as a crash. It shows up slowly, quietly, over time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Resonance Spotlight Strategy Notes. I am Vincent.
And I am Saâd.
In this episode, we are talking about hedging. Hedging in the edge of creeping risk. What it actually means, why it's so hard to implement well, and what professional investors often get wrong.
Let's start with the term itself. Creeping risk. This is risk that doesn't announce itself.
Volatility stays low, credit spreads look stable, drawdowns are small, until they are not.
Exactly. Nothing breaks, but correlation quietly rises. Diversification works less and less, and then suddenly not at all.
And this is where traditional hedging intuitions break down. Because the first question is no longer, how do I hedge a crash? It's what kind of pain am I actually trying to protect against?
A sudden shock is one problem. A slow, grinding drawdown, that's a very different one.
Very right. One of the biggest mistakes we see is starting with instruments.
Puts, volatility, tail risk strategies, all before answering the basic question. What path does the risk take?
If you're hedging a crash, you want convexity. If you're hedging erosion over time, you want something that responds dynamically, trends, regime shifts, changing correlations.
And if you don't define this clearly upfront, your hedging may work perfectly, just against the wrong risk.
Which is why hedging is not a product decision, it's a strategic one.
Once you've defined the risk, you hit the real issue cost.
Every hedge costs something. Either you pay an explicit premium or you accept implicit return drag.
In theory, those are the same.
In practice, boards don't treat them the same at all.
A visible insurance premium feels painful. A diversified allocation that quietly underperforms feels tolerable.
Until someone asks why returns like peers.
This is where many hedging programs fail, not because they're expensive, but because their cost structure isn't institutionally sustainable.
The best hedge is not the cheapest one. It's the one your organization can stick with through calm markets. Now, let's talk about something that almost nobody plans for. What happens when the hedge actually works?
This is one of the most common failure points.
Right. The hedge pays off. Volatility spikes. The position is suddenly valuable.
And then comes the question nobody agreed on beforehand. Do we sell? Do we rebalance? Do we hold?
We've seen teams freeze, not because markets move too fast, but because decision rights weren't clear.
A hedge without a monetization plan isn't a hedge. It's a hope.
And if you don't know how success looks operationally, you won't capture it when it arrives.
So even if you get the strategy right, implementation can still break it.
Liquidity, capital efficiency, rebalancing rules, governance, these aren't details. They are the difference between a hedge that survives stress and one that doesn't.
Markets move daily. Committees move quarterly.
And that mismatch is why many institutions increasingly rely on systematic, rule-based hedging approaches, including QS, where execution isn't dependent on emergency meetings.
It's not about eliminating discretion. It's about containing execution risk when stress is highest.
This becomes especially relevant in private credit and private markets.
Because the risk there doesn't disappear. It's just not marked every day.
You can't hedge individual loans, but you can hedge the macro forces that hit public markets first.
Credit indices, volatility, systematic risk signals, these become proxies for risks that haven't shown up in NAV yet.
And if your downside is better controlled, something interesting happens.
You gain the confidence to hold risk, or even add it when others are forced to step back. So, the takeaway is simple, but not easy.
Hedging isn't about predicting crises, it's about designing portfolios that function under stress.
If your hedge only works when markets cooperate, it's not a hedge.
And if it only works on paper, it won't survive the next stress event.
Thanks for listening to Resonance Spotlight Strategy Notes.
We'll be back soon with another short, focused conversation on how professional investors navigate today's markets. See you soon.